Hello there, hi, welcome back to Adventures in Music with me, Jim, where we listen to, talk about, and do all sorts of things musicy. Today is a talking video because yesterday I got to see Stephen Wilson live. Um, for those of you who are getting a bit fed up with Stephen Wilson, I know there's a fair few of them out there. I promise you that this will be the last video that I make in the Stephen Wilson The Overview Jim Newstead video cycle. There will be no more after this. My journey with this album has been quite a long one. So I've listened to it on a number of occasions now. I first heard this back in November 2024, along with a few other very, very lucky listeners, a few people from the industry who were there, a few people who were fans that were selected by ballot, and a few who were invited, including myself. And I absolutely loved what I heard. It was a very, very immersive, exciting, totally sort of, immersive experience. And I was listening to it in a darkened room with an incredible surround sound system, with a little snippet of Miles's film. Miles made the film for the video for the album, and that is all I heard. Then fast forward till the 14th of March, the album is released, and I got to hear it then for the second time alongside everybody else, and on this occasion, I listened to it on a record, on my record player, with my headphones on, in front of a camera, like this. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was everything that I'd remembered it was, and more, because I was able to sort of spend more time with it, listening to it more critically, more engaged with it. And I then listened to it a lot over the next month or so. I listened to it in the car while I was out and about walking, in the home. I listened to it here. It was. I listened to it a lot, so I really got to know the music. Of course, there was the release of it online then with the film in its entirety. Again, I watched it then. I didn't get to see it at the BFI where the film was projected onto that huge, huge screen. I never got to see that, but I did see it on the computer. And then the tour was announced, and I was able to get tickets to go to the last night of the London run of shows, the fourth of four, at the London Palladium, which is where I was last night. So the Palladium is quite a famous theatre, probably best known for sort of hosting the Royal Variety performance. And a lot of comedians go there, a lot of panto, obviously loads of musicals over the year. It's just over 100 years old. It's not like sort of a really sort of Victorian theatre or anything like that. So it was opened in the, I don't know, just before the First World War, I think, sort of 1910, around that sort of time. And it has history. I don't know necessarily that it has history as being a live music venue. It's all seated, so you can't sort of stand up and jump around and dance or all that sort of stuff. So it's a sort of a different sort of vibe like that. But it's a good venue. It sounded amazing. Now, where my seats were initially, I thought I'd done really well here. Row F, 5 back from the front, 5 away from the stage. Seats 39 and 40. That sounds fairly central. They weren't. They were right over as far as could be on the right hand side. So I couldn't see Craig Blundell at all. I could see about a quarter of the screen, and I had a huge speaker stack right in front of it. So literally, it was not a great vantage point. I went with a friend, and we sat there for the beginning, the the warm-up act, which is Frank Skinner, who's a comedian here in the UK, and he was quite funny. He's always good value. I quite like Frank Skinner, and he was very sort of self-deprecating and saying all the right things, taking a mickey out of some of the aged members of the audience nearer the front, and dealing with hecklers very, very well. But he only had 20 minutes, so he was only on for a very short time. He whisked off, and then came on Stephen and his band. So we have got Stephen Wilson. Of course we do. We have got Craig Blundell on drums. We have got Adam Hulsman on keyboards, synthesizers, electric piano, soundscapes. We have got Randy McStein on lead guitar. And we have got the veritable Nick Beggs on bass guitar and Chapman stick and double bass. So that was the band. Stephen himself plays pretty much everything. I mean, he didn't play drums and he didn't play bass, but he played guitars, a lot of different guitars. He played keyboards, he was playing synths, and of course lead vocals and everything. The first two songs were the overview in its entirety. So we had Objects Outlive Us and the overview. So about 40 minutes of music, just over 40 minutes. And at this stage, me and my friend were getting a bit hacked off with the view. And there was an interval. But I'll come back to the music in a minute. So there was an interval. We went and had a little chat with one of the stewards at the back, and she had a look at my tickets and said, "Yeah, we've got some more seats here if you want to move." I said, "Can we?" I said, "Yeah, go on, you can do it." And we got to sit right then on row W, so it was quite a long way back in the stalls. Well, it's pretty much as far back as you can get, but it was central, and I could see everything, and it was far, far better. So from there onwards, I was in absolutely prime position. We could see the screen, we could see the band, we could hear the music. The music was fantastic. The sound was absolutely brilliant. So let me tell you what we were listening to. Objects Outlive Us and the overview started the proceedings. So forgetting about the view that I had, musically, it's astonishing. It's a completely different beast again in a live setting from what I had experienced on that very first immersive listening experience in North London back in November, to then listening to it on record and then listening to it in the car and again with the film a few weeks later. Live, it has a very different energy, and it has life. And that seems a bit of a strange thing to say, but it's in a studio situation. Recordings are very, not sterile, that's kind of the wrong thing, but they are absolutely chiseled to perfection. They're honed and crafted, so there is no fault anywhere at all. It's absolutely perfect. The timing is spot on. The tuning is absolutely perfect. The singing is exactly as it needs to be. Everything's the right level. It is perfection, or the interpretation of perfection of what Stephen wanted to present to the world. In a live setting, things go wrong. There are humans involved. There's only one take. It speeds up and slows down. It felt different. Now, I don't think there were mistakes, so don't get me wrong, but I think everybody in the band was playing live. Of course they were. And so there's that human feel in there, and it just gave it an amazing energy and edge. The sound was very, very good. It was so quite bass heavy where we were, because obviously we're quite near the speaker, or speaker stack on the left hand side. But it was sounded great. The songs themselves have the grandeur and the ambition that we already all know. We've heard the album so many times, and the more you hear it, the more it connects, the more it's going to go down, I think, as an absolute classic. I think it's going to be regarded in time to come as one of the absolute standout moments of his career. Now, it's extraordinary. The film itself is another element to it. So it all becomes this absolute sort of audio visual experience. Sadly, I couldn't see half of it. So we get to the end of those two songs with everything that you expect to be in there. The soloing is sublime. The singing is sublime. The musicianship all round, and the chemistry between the band members is absolutely spot on. So they've been playing now for I don't know, a few weeks. I think this is the 14th time that these two songs have been played. So they're getting well practiced with it, and it showed. They were very, very, very good. So Stephen Wilson then comes to the front of the stage. Said, that was a fairly intense 42 minutes worth of music. I'm sorry, we're going to, or not sorry, are we going to take a little break now? Not often you get a band who'll just play two songs and take a break, but, you know, we need to have a little refresh. So off they toddle. That's when we then find some new seats, get sat down. Then we get to set two. And this is where things get really interesting, certainly for me. So I've never seen Stephen Wilson live before. I've seen Porcupine Tree live, and I saw them, where do they play? At Wembley Arena a few years ago. And it was a very impersonal, it was an arena show. I was a very, very long way away from the stage. You could see them on the stage, but it was easier to look at this big screens on either side, and of course it was Porcupine Tree, not Stephen Wilson. It was a different beast altogether. This time, I was hoping we would get Home Invasion Regret 9. That's the one thing that they didn't play that I really wish they had, but that's just a sort of a selfish thing from my point of view. But what we did get, and I'll just quickly run through the track list for set 2. We had the Harmony Codex, Luminal, tune, What Life Brings. Now this just absolutely blew me away. He played Voyage 34, Phase 1. I mean, oh my God. Now, having said I've never seen Stephen Wilson live before, it's therefore not something that, I wish he'd play that, I wish he'd play that, I wish he'd play that. I'm so fortunate to be at a show where he played this tune, because I think, according to the internet, and it may be wrong, it's only the second time it's ever been played. And it was absolutely phenomenal. And so, oh my God, I'm so excited to hear this. I mean, you know, I did a video to Voyage 34 a few years ago, so I know the music, and I've listened to it obviously since then, but I was very, very excited to hear that. We then had Dislocated Day. So although they are both, I suppose, technically down as Porcupine Tree songs, they come from the era of Porcupine Tree when it was just Stephen Wilson. It was not a band. Porcupine Tree obviously then ended up becoming a band, but when these were recorded, it was just him. So I suppose in many ways they are part of his solo catalogue. Next up was Pariah. So I do understand that at some of the shows that Nina has been there to sing these parts. She wasn't. It was piped in, and there was video of her on the screen at the back singing her part of it. It didn't really detract, to be honest. I thought it was just wonderful. I mean, it was absolutely incredible performance all round by the band. Stephen Wilson forgot it. He forgot his lines at the very, very beginning of the first verse. And but he couldn't stop because obviously the song had started, and because the video was all synced up with Ninette singing and everything. It all had to keep going. So forget that. Sorry. He then came back in with the sort of the second or third line in the right place, and everything carried on perfectly. But that was quite amusing. But it's a great piece of music. But then, what I was another really excited thing for me to sort of hear played live was Impossible Tightrope from the Harmony Codex. Oh my God, I was so pleased they played that, because I think that was my favourite. Was that my favourite track from the? Actually, no, the Harmony Codex itself, which was the first one that began set 2, it was fantastic as well. And so on the record, it's a very, very different thing. But hearing it live, it was astonishing. It's a sort of a very sort of like tangerine dreamy, Vangelis-y type piece. Lots of sequences and arpeggios and stuff. But Stephen started it, and then you suddenly realise that on the side was Adam Holzman as well. So he was then playing over the top of it, and both of them had their synths going. I think Stephen had his modular thing going, and Adam with his Moog, and the sounds were just sort of all over, so spiralling around, and sort of the crescendo building and building. It was just wonderful, 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 wonderful. Right, so back down to Impossible Tightrope. So that I was so pleased that they played that. That was really exciting for me. Then Abandoner, which I think comes from Insurgentes, is it? It is, yes. So I'm not overly familiar with that album. So that was pretty much a new listen for me. Harmony Corinne, Vermilion Core. Oh, God, that was fun. That was really fun. And I was expecting it, because I had seen that as being on the set list for, I think, every show they've done so far. So that was a treat. Show finishes. Yeah, of course it doesn't. Encore. So they come back on again. We had Ancestral in its entirety, which was a beast of a tune, beast of a piece of music. And we had one more track, and I could not be happier. I could not be happier. The Raven that refused to sing. Absolutely just astonishingly wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All of the music pretty much was set to film. We had the video playing on the screen at the back. A lot of work had obviously been done to upscale some of the old videos to 4K to make them sort of look good on this huge screen. But it was really, really, really an extraordinary experience. There are detractors for Stephen Wilson's work, and I know there are, and there's a lot of people also go overboard about how much of a saviour of music he is, all this sort of thing. I'm kind of down the middle. I mean, I don't find anything he's done to be not to my taste at all. But I also recognise that that putting someone on a pedestal is probably not a healthy thing to do. I have to say, I could not have hoped for a better show last night, a better gig. It was just extraordinary. The balance of tracks from right across his career, the professionalism, camaraderie, musicianship, humour within the band was wonderful. There was banter. They were taking the mickey out of each other. There are a few occasions where Stephen and Randy, who's Andy? I don't know. But Stephen and Randy sort of came forward when they were doing some sort of heavier sort of guitar work or some soloing parts, which kind of, I don't know, didn't really sort of feel quite right. When they weren't throwing shapes; they just kind of walked forward. So okay, yeah, okay. Then they just walked back again. So I'm not quite sure why we did that, but it was okay. I suppose it would have been fun if you're at the front of the stage; you could see them a bit better. Overall, good show. Yeah, baby. It was properly good. It was up there. I think it's going to be up there with the best shows I've ever witnessed. I knew pretty much every song. I enjoyed everything they played. I can't think of a moment that I would have cut at all. If I was programming the set list, I might have put in Home Invasion Regret 9, but I don't know what I'd have taken out to put it in, you know. Routine, what would I have taken out to put in? I just don't know, because it was perfect. The thing is, I think he could play for 3 or 4 hours, or play, maybe that's what he's doing. He used to play 4 nights, one after the other, and have a different set every night. Now, I know he said at the beginning there are bands out there that are able to do that. They are not, and I get that. But, they put on a show. If you're yet to see them, they're coming your way. You're going to enjoy it. If you've not bought tickets yet, then I urge you to do so. They've now finished in the UK, so if you're here and you hope to see them, it's too late. It's too late. But they're now heading to Europe, where they'll be until June. And then there's a few months off. I think they're going over to America. So when's that? 9th of September. So they finished touring in Europe in Spain, in Madrid, which is 13th of June. Then they have July and August off. Then 9th of September in San Francisco. So they then tour around the US until 11th of October, and then start moving into South America after that. So you've got Mexico, Brazil, Chile, then jump over to India. Look at that. Australia later in the year. Oh my days. Yeah, so if you get a chance, do it. It was absolutely fantastic. I love it. If you are not so keen on this new album, it doesn't connect with you, I genuinely urge you to see it live. It's a different experience altogether. Now, I enjoyed it as a studio version, but as I said, it is very, very different live. It's fantastic. You will enjoy it. All your money back. But actually, you can't, because I have no I have no sway over that at all. But I don't believe you will not enjoy it. So that's my review. That's my glowing review of Stephen Wilson, his band, the set list, the songs, the musicianship, everything. Absolutely phenomenal. I'll see you on the next video, whenever and whatever that is. Until then, this is Jim, over and out.